Um, Today we're going to be talking about the Bosnian Genocide. It happened in the late 20th century, 1992 to 1995, if you guys don't know what the 20th century is. And it was a genocide based on ethnic cleanse. What that is one ethnicity thinks the other ethnicity is inferior, so a cleanse would mean that they would exterminate the other ethnicity. So, an introduction, quick introduction is the Bosniaks, which were the Bosnian Muslims, were murdered by the Croatian civilians and the Serbians. If you look in the map, Bosnia is right in the middle between Croatia and Serbia. And Bosnia was considered the less powerful country, and that's why it was an easy target for the Croats and the Serbians to gain land. So the women and young girls were raped, other civilians were starved and tortured, and like any other Holocaust, they also had concentration camps. This is a city, Sarajevo, and it's a city in Bosnia, and it's one of the cities that's most known for the killings that happened there. This is just an article from the Boston Globe. So following World War II, Yugoslavia, who was under the rule of Tito, the dictator, fell apart. After that, every country in Yugoslavia became its own independent country. Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, there's other ones that I'm not quite understanding right now. And so, basically, it was a rule between the communist leaders and also the democracy that other countries wanted. And people just wanted to be left alone from the outside world. And that's why it took a long time for the UN or America, for that instance, to take action in Bosnia, because people weren't just publicizing it anymore. So Milosevic wanted the Serbs to be the greater power. He is the leader of the Serbians. He was the one who administrated and executed many Bosnians. And the Serbs were very powerful, and they controlled 8 of the Yugoslav states' governments. The rest were Republicans, and they wanted freedom. And then that's how the war began, because the war itself wasn't really between Bosnia and Croatia and Serbia. It was almost Croatia and Serbia, and Bosnia just happened to be right in the middle, and that's who they were fighting about. Macedonia became independent through them in 1991. Also Croatia and Slovenia. So, in 1991, the Bosnian government decided that it wanted its independence. All the ethnic groups pertaining to Bosnia began to break up. Bosnia was truly a multi-ethnic state. It had some parts that were completely Muslim for the most part, and other parts that were Catholic and also Christian. Bosnia was a democratic country, and so many of its rulers, well, not rulers, their presidents, were elected by the people. Bosnian Serbs declared that parts of Bosnia were Serbian because of where in the land geographically Bosnia was. And that's how, basically, again, it all started. They were fighting over the land, who gets Bosnia, and then after, what do they do with the Bosnian people, who they thought were inferior because they were Muslim, and because ethnicity-wise, they weren't as perfect as the Serbs. So, opening fight began on April of 1992. And then Milosevic, the one that I told you that was from Serbia, began to go into Bosnia. Serbian militia stayed in Bosnia and began to attack Muslim villages in eastern Bosnia. These attacks were an attempt to remove the Muslims and the Croats from the Republic of Srpska. The Muslim community leaders tried to show resistance and they were executed. The rest of the population just fled for their life, and a lot of them immigrated elsewhere. That's why also a lot of our students that are here at Chelsea High are known to be immigrants of the Bosnian genocide, many of which immigrated to Germany and then from Germany came here. Sarajevo is I explained it earlier, but this is the brief explanation. On April 4th, 1992, Izetbegovic mobilized Bosnia's territorial forces led the National Guard. The following day, citizens organized in a march through their city to protest the violence against the Muslim villages. So basically, the War of Sarajevo was the beginning. And it was an all-out war between the Serbs, the Croats, and the Bosnian. The treatment that happened was pretty brutal. People were starved, people were raped, killed. The concentration camps were installed. It was like Nazi concentration camps. While men were harshly treated, women were raped. Rape was being used as an expression of the growing hatred within Bosnia. And in the end of 1992, more than 2 million Bosnians had lost their home. In May 1992, the UN finally took action in Serbia, and the UN troops took control of Sarajevo airport. The UN moved more troops into the other areas of Bosnia, and they also created safe areas where the Bosnians could flee and seek help. The only problem is they weren't very stable, and a lot of the time Serbians came in, killed, or took people and kidnapped them. In July 1995, Serbians committed the largest massacre in Europe since World War II in Srebrenica. An estimated 23,000 women, children, elderly people were put on buses and driven to Muslim-controlled territory, and this all happened without the UN firing one shot. So many people have some type of resentment towards the UN and America and other first world countries because they realized that they weren't doing anything, even if they saw that this was happening. They just stood there. They didn't have any other orders, so they just stood there and let them basically go.